don't stay up to date on what's going on in the Middle East. Really, I mean, when I was in the Royal Air Force Reserve, I was in Iraq in
Really?
2007 for 4 months as part of Optelic 10. Interesting time to be deployed in the desert. And actually, can I tell you a story about that?
Of course.
So, as a reservist, I joined 4624 Squadron, and we're responsible for loading and unloading the aircraft. That could be rockets and tanks and bombs. It could be people. It could just be general freight. But we would be loading C-17 aircraft, Hercules aircraft, and sending that off. So we would do that mainly from Bryce Norton. When you deploy as a reservist, you deploy as an individual and you go and augment an already existing squadron. So maybe, they were 10 people and they lost two to injury. And so they call us up and they say, hey, we need you to come over. So I go over to, I volunteered to go to Iraq, rather crazily. I hated my day job so much that when they said, who wants to go to Iraq? I was like, I'd rather go to Iraq and get shot at and live in 45 degrees centigrade heat than go back to that office.
What were you doing? What kind of office job was
I
it?
was selling electronic components, but the person I worked with was a maniac, absolute lunatic, and I hated her. So I would rather go to war than go back and have another cup of tea with her.
Does she knows that? Hopefully she knows that.
If she knows me and she's listening, I hope she knows that I found her an absolute insufferable prick. So she probably knows. So I fly off to Iraq, and we fly from the UK into Qatar, and we disembark the aircraft and wait for the aircraft that flies us into the theatre of war. So you fly there on an airliner, then you jump on a tactical aircraft like a C-17 or a Hercules, and you fly under complete darkness. The pilots are on night vision. We're making tactical landings. But the first thing I remember about landing in Qatar was walking out of the aircraft, and it must have been probably 45 degrees centigrade, but like near on 100% humidity.
Oh my
It was
god.
the craziest heat I'd ever experienced in my life. And just from the walk from like the steps to the tent that was air conditioned, I was soaked through. My entire body was soaked through because I'm from England. We don't even know what sun is, let alone temperatures that crazy. And then they flew us in on a big C-17, and what they do is they were under a lot of threat of attack at that time, that airfield. The Mahdi army was shooting at us. If you put Basra, so it's C-17, but if you were to look at Basra airfield in 2007, we were getting shot at. Look at that aircraft, though, beautiful aircraft. So we fly in and we do a tactical landing. And I know none of this. There's no instruction manual that tells you what's going to happen when you fly out to war. They say, walk that way, and you say, yes, sir. And you've got your body armor on, you've got your helmet on, and you sat in a plane full of strangers just on your own. And then they do a tactical landing, which is basically over the area of the airfield is where they do the descent, because it's the safest place to descend. So you'll just be flying along, and then the aircraft just does this and falls out of the sky, and you're just hanging onto your seat, and then it goes around the other way and whatever, and it just falls out the sky and then hits the ground, and you landed.
Oh my
And you get
god.
off in the middle of an airfield, which is under complete darkness. So there's no lights, no nothing. Pilots are on night vision, so there's not even any flashing lights on the side of the aircraft yet, just complete darkness with a bunch of soldiers. You just follow the helmet in front of you to this hall where they dump off the baggage and basically say, welcome to Iraq.
Why such a dramatic entrance?
I don't know. It's funny, probably. It's like, this would be a laugh. For safety, because generally the aircraft were being shot at from either small arms fire or rockets and things like that. Lots of the aircraft were fired upon whilst we were there. We were getting shot at so often that no aircraft were based on the airfield, so it was just a complete blank, huge concrete expanse that would fill up with aircraft at night, and then they would all just disappear. We would do a thing called engine running offloads. So the first time we had to unload a Hercules aircraft is a big. So if you put C-130 in your search, you'll see what a Hercules aircraft is. It's the middle of the night, and C-130. Sorry, it's the middle of the night, and yeah, there you go. The aircraft is taxiing right in front of us. Yeah, so we've got all this freight behind us, ready to go, pre-staged. The aircraft will come along in front of you. It stops, and then it starts reversing. Nobody explained that to me in my training, that these aircraft can reverse. Have you ever seen a plane going backwards before?
No, I don't think so. No.
So you're just like, oh, they can go backwards, can they? And then it literally just reverses in, stops, the ramp goes down, 80 soldiers come flying out the back of the thing. All of the freight comes off of the back of it. Then we put a load of freight on and 80 more soldiers, and off it goes. We could do that from stop, to offload, onload to back out in 7 minutes.
Oh my God.
7 minute turnaround. And they never turn the engines off. So you're just in this of heat. It's 45 degrees anyway. And then you've got the exhaust fan of the Hercules coming off of you, which is so hot you can feel your skin like tingle and start to burn.
How did you not, or anyone, like just passed out with this heat? And I assume you had all that gear on, right?
Yeah, you just got a job to do. You do adapt quite quickly.
Okay.
But it's still, it's still insane. And I know. So the point of that story was, I discovered whilst I was there that the British Forces Broadcasting Service had a radio station on the base with the radio station right there live. So the radio DJs were with you broadcasting. So I bought a tiny little transistor radio, and I listened to them everywhere I went. And I just remember one day I'm on guard, and they just make anybody guard. They give you your gun, and they drive you out to the corner of the airfield, and they say, yeah, if you see anything, radio it in. If anybody shoots at you, shoot back, kind of thing. So, okay, well, I hope nobody shoots at me. And in front of you is nothing, because all the lights are off. So it's completely pitch black for as far as you can see, this huge concrete expanse. And we're so far away that you can't really hear the attack alarms. Yeah, so you go from complete silence to you'll hear a faint ooh, ooh in the background. You're like, oh, is that the attack alarm? Normally you'll go, is that the attack? And then you'll hear an explosion. Boom.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was the attack alarm. So you'll jump on the floor, or you'll run to the nearest shelter and wait in there for the all clear. And I just remember these alarms going off and listening to the explosions and being led on my face. And then everything goes quiet. So the alarms will go off, and then you just have to wait for the all clear signal. So it's just this weird time where there still could be rockets coming in. It's just that they don't play the alarm all the time. And then over the radio, I could hear music from my country being played. Maybe it was Oasis or something. And it made you feel kind of less alone. It was kind of an absurd situation to be thinking, oh, I'm in the middle of the desert in Iraq, in the middle of the night, on my own, and then Wonderwall is playing in the background. But the radio presenter was always really funny. So after the attack, they would come back on the radio, and they might play like "Boom Shake the Room" by Will Smith or something. So yeah, it was a really hard time, and I still kind of hold that time dear as like, oh, I did something. Yeah, what are you looking up here?
No, I didn't want you to interrupt your story, but I couldn't stop thinking about something that I saw today. I'm gonna share with the audience real quick. So a Lebanese saxophone player plays as Iranian missiles attack. So the guy is just jazzing his way and having fun while all the missiles are happening to me. It's kind of like you described, like there's intense situation, but you're just vibing to the music, and it kind of relax a little bit.
It's the kind of the absurdity that when I worked in an office and I hated all of those days, at least nobody was trying to kill me that day. Nobody was firing rockets at me. But this reminds me of being out there in that desert. We had a thing called a phalanx.
What is that?
System. So it's PHA LANX, phalanx. And it's basically a huge machine gun. Yeah, so put phalanx gun navy, and then it will bring up the.
Oops.
Yeah, so this is the phalanx. And what this thing does is when the rockets are coming in, so the Mahdi army or whoever would launch, maybe 4 or 5 rockets at once. This thing would be able to compute whether those rockets were going to land in what we called a VP, or a vulnerable point, and it would